Afternoon, Aaron. How are you today?
Hi, Peter. I'm very well, thank you. How's yourself?
I am super duper, super duper. Not too much snow, but yes, it certainly doesn't feel very spring-like. But yes, I'm in great form, great form. So Aaron,
Good.
please, welcome to the Business Spotlight. Thanks very much for taking the time to speak to me today. So can you tell me a little about yourself and your business, please?
Yeah, well, my name's Aaron Lynn. My business is Optimise Consultancy. Bit of my background, I worked for a company in Downpatrick called Finnebrogue for about the last decade and a half. A very successful food business. I worked in primarily operations, grew up through the company through, started off as doing continuous improvement, lean manufacturing, took over as production manager, operations director, general manager, working my way up through the company. In that time, we've built four factories in the last 8 years. So the sausage factory, bacon factory, a vegetarian factory, and most recently a vegan factory. So quite well versed in terms of everything food manufacturing, operations, how to run a good, successful manufacturing business. And that has led me to, after a decade and a half, deciding that I'm going to go out on my own. I'm going to help other people. I've got all these skills that I've accumulated over the last sort of 14, 15 years. And I think the economy at the moment is really crying out for people who can help people tighten their belts, can help people maximize their efficiencies, reduce their waste, reduce their headcount, maybe some automation projects, things like that. And I also work with a network of people. I have people that I can call in. I've got structural engineers, automation engineers, production planners, a team of people that I can call upon to help. So yeah, that's me in a bit of a nutshell. This is what I'm doing.
And tell me, whenever you were growing up, Aaron, is this what you envisaged doing, or what were your aspirations back in the day?
Absolutely not. The idea of working in a factory that wouldn't even cross my mind. I probably wanted to either play football professionally or be a professional musician. And it turns out that I'm okay at both, but they were never going to be a career. So I can strum a guitar, I can hold a tune, I can kick a football in the right direction, but they were never going to work out. They were never going to pay the bills.
So tell me, who would be your ideal customer? If you could describe your ideal customer, who would they be?
Ideal customer right now, it's going to be somebody in the food industry. Or the manufacturing industry. It really doesn't matter what you're making. I always say that manufacturing is you're taking raw materials and people and machines, and you're using those three components to put a product out at the far end. At the moment, because of the economic climate, anybody who is looking for a bit of help, anybody who's struggling to maximize their bottom line, anybody who needs to reduce their headcount, anybody who's wants to run an automation project, anybody who wants to introduce lean manufacturing principles to maximize their efficiencies, reduce their waste, bring some control into the business, create a dashboard, create a visual cockpit, something you can take a look at. You can see how the business is performing. You know what to focus on. So I think there seems to be a lot of people in Northern Ireland, particularly in that situation at the moment. So business seems to be quite well set up with a good target market. Yeah.
And what would you say has been your biggest learning since going out on your own, so to speak?
Going out on your own, I think the answer is actually in the question. You are going out on your own, and you're not just the person who goes and meets the customer and delivers what you say the business can deliver. You're also your sales team. You're also your marketing team. You're also looking at your invoices, your finances, keeping records of your everything. You at the beginning of a business, you are the business. Fortunately, I've taken on some good advice and spoken to some other people. You bring in an accountant, and certain people look after certain aspects of it. But I think the biggest learning is that, I think the sales, the leads, the follow-ups, that all of that, that was quite a big steep learning curve.
And tell me, who's the first person that springs to mind when you think about the word success?
Well, this is going to sound a little bit cliche, but because I worked for Finnebrogue for 15 years, and it was my uncle was the owner and the founder. he's the most successful person, most charismatic person. People talk about selling ice to the Eskimos. This man made 200 million turnover business from nothing, from selling frozen pies out of the back of a car. I should say van, but it was a car back in the days when he did it. Yeah, so he's quite an inspirational figure in my life in terms of business and success, and I couldn't have asked for a better role model, to be honest.
And tell me, what's the biggest challenge that that you've faced so far, or that you are facing today in your business?
I think people don't like the word consultant. That sounds like a really fickle thing, but when you say that you want to come and you want to offer people help, you want to maximize their efficiencies, you want to minimize their wastes, you want to maximize the profit and their bottom line, they're the sort of things that people, everybody wants that. But the second you say the word consultant, people seem to have had their fingers burnt. And I think we've possibly had a lot of poor consultants in Northern Ireland in the past who have maybe not bought into the values of the company. They haven't cared. They've come in, they've taken their wages. One of the phrases that I would always have heard is people, consultants look at your watch and tell you the time. My personal reason for wanting to get into being a consultant was because I knew that, well, I've seen people do this poorly, and I believe I can do it well. I believe I can go in and I can actually deliver. I can leave the place better than when I found it. So that's one of the bigger hurdles is just the people's emotional response to the word consultant.
And tell me, what inspires you? What gives you the most inspiration today?
Genuinely, it's family. I want to be a role model for my family. I want to provide for them. Everybody wants their kids to do better than they did and not struggle with the same struggles that they did. But at the same time, you want your kids to grow up to be with a good work ethic and things like that. So my kids inspire me. That's I've got a 7-month-old little baby girl, and all I need to do is look into her face, and that's pretty inspirational for making sure you're going to get up and you're going to give today 100%.
Awesome. Yeah, great share. And tell me, what if it were possible, what advice would you give to your 18-year-old self?
18. I've seen somebody close to me was asked a very similar question, and they said an answer that I thought was possibly should be my answer, but I'm going to change it slightly. 18-year-old me would probably not have listened, so you're probably wasting your breath talking to 18-year-old me. But the truth is, I would probably tell 18-year-old me, you don't have it all figured out. 18-year-old me thought he had the world figured out. And the one piece of advice that I got when I was growing up was, when you think you've got it sussed, that's when you really need to get back into learning. Because when you think you know everything, that's exactly when that's a weakness. 18-year-old me definitely thought he knew everything. Definitely had people around him, opportunities around him, circumstances around him. You don't know the good old days are the good old days until they become the good old days. 18-year-old me would definitely not have appreciated a lot of things that were around.
Yeah, it's amazing how teenagers suddenly go from knowing everything to knowing nothing.
Absolutely.
And tell me, what aspects of your business are you most excited about in 2023?
At the moment, the thing I'm most excited about is getting my name out there. This is a reasonably new business. I've had a really good response within the food industry in Northern Ireland. I won a few awards and things like that in my career, so I've done quite well, and I would be reasonably well known in the food industry in Northern Ireland. So getting my name out there, letting people know what I'm doing, and the response that I get has been quite positive. That's quite exciting. And then the other bit that motivates me, that excited is maybe the wrong phrase, but the other thing that motivates me about 2023 is genuinely going in and adding value. I believe that anybody at all who, if you want to enjoy your work, you need to feel like you're adding value. That's one of the bigger things that motivates me as well. Going in, leaving the place better than you found it, knowing that you've added value. That's exciting. That's exciting for me, and especially, again, talking about the economic climate, I keep bringing it up. But people need help right now, and I can offer them that help. So I think that's exciting.
Fantastic, fantastic. And if somebody likes the sound of what they hear from this interview, Aaron, and they wanted to reach out, what would be the best way for people to get in touch?
My website is optimise-consultancy.com, or you can email me, Aaron, AA1R, Aaron at Optimise Consultancy. No hyphen in the email. That was a GoDaddy error, but we'll bypass that for now. But yes, Aaron at optimiseconsultancy.com, and I'll get back to everybody.
Fantastic. Well, Aaron Lynn from Optimise Consultancy, thank you very much for sharing your time and your story today. And I wish you all the success for 2023 and beyond. Thanks very much, Aaron.
That's great, Peter. Thanks for having me.